Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my Author's Answer video for April 2025. The Author's Answer series was brought to AuthorTube by J.D. Archer. On his writing blog, he and his writing group did a Q&A with themselves, amongst themselves, with a variety of reading and writing related questions. And then JD took a bunch of those and made videos about them on his own AuthorTube channel. I'll link to his AuthorTube channel and to his blog down below. And I'll also link to my own AuthorTube playlist down below because I have been diligently answering these questions in sequential order for several years, month by month, on this channel. It's been a fun way to get in a little bit of writing content and reading content, as actually this question that I'm on this month is more reading related. So yes, I'm on to question number 97, which is asking me to talk a bit about the most memorable books I read in school. And when I think of the books that really shaped me or that, jump up to me immediately, they're almost always like from my younger years, which I guess in a way surprises me that I feel like by the time I get to high school or especially college, in a way that there were books that moved me, but the ones I really feel like I guess shaped me as a reader, maybe they were younger, maybe it's because I had more imagination or something, it was newer and more exciting perhaps when I was fresh and young and untouched by the world. Okay, anyway. I think of books like Bridge to Terabithia I've read for school in elementary school. And it was a mix of that imagination that, like, Jessie and Leslie, I would want to go into the woods. And I even tried to do this with the stream behind my house and, like, create my own worlds there. And that was just so, fantastical and exciting to me. And juxtaposed onto that was, the character development of Jesse and, the strained relations he had, especially with his father. And so that moved me as well. And speaking of fantastical, I also, around that time, read A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. I also loved that one for, its ability to transport me to another world. But, I think I really was mostly in it for the character development, for Meg, and being able to see that she was prickly and standoffish and that she learned differently, which is somebody, I was on the autism spectrum and I started my life in special school as well. I also, learned and experienced the world differently, and I really feel like this was a book that said that's okay. And then I just, I loved her relationships with Calvin and her father, and especially with her younger brother, Charles Wallace, and sort of the ways you learn about what's important in the world, and the ways you learn in that book about sort of an overbearing authoritarianism, which, remains overbearing throughout my life, it seems like, and, generally for us all. Then when it comes to middle school, I mean, I don't know, things change a little. Like, I remember A Separate Peace by John Knowles was a book I fell for hard. I think because, it's told from the perspective of Jean, who is this, grade student, boarding school student during World War II, and it's particularly about it, like his relationships with the boys in his his class before the war starts, and that changes people obviously when some of them join the army, but also it's about his relationship with a very charismatic boy named Phineas, and I think that's really what drew me in. I fell hard for Phineas. There were charismatic, well, mostly girls in my case, that I fell hard for in my formative years, so that's really what hit me in the book. And reading it later as an adult, I guess I'm more drawn in by, the less favorable. There's a lot of jealousy and strife in the book as well, but what I remember most from my teen years is Phineas's charisma and how much that drew me in. Another book I read in 8th grade that I think I still love very much is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and that started my love affair with the Bronte sisters. And I mean, I love the gothic moodiness of it all. I love, being trapped in that environment with Jane and just all of that emotion bubbling. And I love Jane's character, like that she was dissatisfied with her life and wanted more, like the fact that you know, she was this budding artist, but she wanted to experience more out of life. I guess that, you know, spoke to me as well. But honestly, one of the real things I remember hitting me like a sledgehammer from the beginning is I knew that Jane's life wouldn't be fair or easy or happy, and it felt like a shift from a lot of the books about plucky young heroines I was reading at the time, that I felt like you were just going to have to look this one in the face and say that life could be unfair sometimes, and I feel like that remains the case. And honestly, in terms of an ending, you know, Mr. Rochester, I feel like is like the best of bad options in a way. But I think that's how maybe a lot of adults, their opinions of the book change. But I did fall hard for the gothic moodiness and everything, and I remember after that, shortly after that, I didn't have to read Wuthering Heights for school, but I was secretly reading it during classes, like my Spanish class, and in fact, I have a Wuthering Heights quote right above me right here. This is from Kathy Earnshaw, ostensibly one of the main characters of Wuthering Heights. I kind of wish this backdrop were, you know, the moors rather than the woods, but alas, I wish I were a girl again, half savage and happy and free. And that about covers it for me now. I will link to my Goodreads reviews for all the books I mentioned down below. I think they're all relatively short. Something I have done with books I've read later in life is I've written much longer book reviews for them. But these, ones that I, basically wrote years later and then put on Goodreads, they're much shorter. But anyway, if you'd like more information about the books, they'll be down below. I hope to be back on this channel in the near future with a poetry review of this collection. I do try to read at least one, or really only one, collection of poetry per year during National Poetry Month, which is this month, so stay tuned for that. And if you have read any of these books as a child or as an adult, I'd be curious to know your opinions. I remember Ritzy Reed saying something along the lines of reading A Wrinkle in Time as an adult and feeling like it wasn't all it was hyped up to be, and I was like, what? But, it's different people and different times in the reading life, and that's how it goes. I'd also love to hear what, really grabbed you as a young reader. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Keep writing. And I'll see you next time.